Well, I think he's being a little more aggressive than he was in the past. And I say this respectfully to the president. He's a different type of cat, to say the least. Maybe I'm a different type of cat, but you know, I've never seen not so much aggression, but so matter of fact. He didn't come across this way last time, and it's not helpful for both sides of the border. And you know, at the end of the day, the consumer gets hurt. Canadians get hurt, but I can assure you one thing: the Americans are going to feel the pain as well.
What's going on, everybody? Thank you all for joining me today. If you haven't already, please make sure you hit the like button, subscribe to the channel if you're new to the channel, and most importantly, please make sure you follow me on Telegram at TD Media Group to help circumvent social media censorship and shadow banning. That's Telegram at TD Media Group. Now, with the introduction out of the way, let's get into today's news. And today, we have to discuss all of the tough talk that's coming from Canada. The Canadian government, the officials of the Canadian government have come out, Justin Trudeau and another individual, talking real tough in the face of Donald Trump becoming the president of the United States. I first want to start here with Prime Minister Justin Trudeau. And I want to start here because essentially he wasn't just specifically talking to Trump. He was talking to you, me, and everybody, all 76, if not 77 million of us who voted Donald Trump into office. And he referred to us all essentially as being sexist and misogynistic for not voting Kamala Harris into office.
No, it shouldn't be that way. It wasn't supposed to be that way. We were supposed to be on a steady, if difficult sometimes, march towards progress. And yet, just a few weeks ago, the United States voted for a second time to not elect its first woman president. Everywhere, women's rights and women's progress is under attack, overtly and subtly. But I want you to know that I am, and always will be, a proud feminist. You will always have an ally in me and in my government.
So there's that. I'll keep my personal comments to myself and won't just revert to name calling, but there's that, you know, the feminist Prime Minister Justin Trudeau, who believes essentially we're all a bunch of misogynistic pigs, you know, who don't like women, and that's why we didn't vote Kamala Harris into office. Now, he did come to regret this because, as we're going to see as we get to the end of the video, those in the Canadian government did hold him accountable for this. They're not going to get into detail of how that conversation went, but they did address Justin Trudeau and say, look, man, you can't be coming out here in public and saying stupid stuff like that, because you're going to create problems for us that we don't need. And we're already trying to circumvent the possible issue of being hit with a 25% tariff if we don't get our border in order, right? They don't want to get hit with that tariff. But outside of the fact that they don't want to get hit with it, they're also talking tough as well, saying that essentially if Trump hits us with a 25% tariff, we're going to cut the lights out in 3 states in our country, because currently there are about 3 states that are receiving power from Canada. And once again, if they get that tariff imposed on them, they're essentially going to cut our lights out. That's the threat that they're waging, right? Let's get into this article very quickly, and then we're going to get into the actual press conference in which the Ontario Premier Doug Ford makes his statements. Canada's most populous province may bar American-made alcohol in addition to restricting electricity exports to Michigan, New York, and Minnesota if U.S. President-elect Donald Trump imposes sweeping tariffs on all Canadian products, a senior official said Thursday. The official in Ontario Premier Doug Ford's government said that it's contemplating restricting Ontario's Liquor Control Board from buying American-made alcohol. Ontario is also considering restricting exports of critical minerals required for electric vehicle batteries and preventing U.S.-based companies from the government's procurement process. Ford confirmed on Wednesday evening that Ontario is contemplating restricting electricity exports to 3 states. And once again, those 3 states are Michigan, New York, and Minnesota. Yes, he is threatening to cut our lights out here in the U.S. Let's get into the press conference here where he actually stated these things.
Let's make no mistake about it. As I mentioned to the Prime Minister, the rest of the premiers, we need to be ready. We need to be ready to fight. This fight is coming 100% on January the 20th or January 21st. We don't know what extent this fight's going to go to, but we need to line up everything that we're going to tariff and make sure that the tariff, the money that's coming from these tariffs, don't go into a federal bank account sitting there somewhere. It needs to be immediately distributed right across the province equally, and we'll be able to support the companies, the factories, the workers for any issues that they're facing at the time. Chrystia Freeland's going to put a list together. We're going to put our list together, and I'm sure the other provinces will as well. But we will go to the full extent, depending how far this goes. We will go to the extent of cutting off their energy, going down to Michigan, going down to New York State, and over to Wisconsin. I don't want this to happen, but my number one job is to protect Ontarians and Canadians as a whole, since we're the largest province.
Now, what I want to do here is that I want to play another quick news clip of what's actually happening on the Canadian side concerning them securing the border. Because, like I said, him, just like the president of Mexico, they're talking a good game. They're talking tough, but at the end of the day, they all bend the knee, right? So while he is saying this, remember the basis upon which Trump wants to or will impose 25% tariffs is on the basis of whether or not they choose to secure the border on their end in Canada. Because like I said, drugs and illegal immigrants are flowing into the United States from the Canadian border as well, not just the southern border of Mexico. So while he is talking tough, saying I'm ready to cut your lights out in the States, at the same time, they are doing what they're supposed to do as far as securing the border on their end for now. And you're going to see why I said for now in just a moment. But let's get into this news clip first.
The Prime Minister went into the call with Canada's premiers with a plan, and the premiers came out swinging.
We need to be ready. We need to be ready to fight. This fight is coming 100%.
Sources say the Prime Minister laid out broad strokes of a new beefed-up border strategy.
We asked for more boots on the ground for our CBSA officers and our CMP officers, and they agreed.
And obviously a priority will be to share details of this plan with the incoming Trump administration and with Canadians in the coming days.
It's an all-hands-on-deck response to Donald Trump's threat to slap Canadian goods with a 25% tariff over concerns about the border.
The tariffs that they've proposed at 25% would be devastating to the Canadian economy.
Ottawa's already pledged more helicopters and drones. Provinces offered law enforcement resources, both aimed at stopping illegal crossings. And sources say Trudeau also discussed the fight against fentanyl, something Trump brought up repeatedly when the Prime Minister visited Mar-a-Lago. Justin Trudeau has also floated retaliatory tariffs.
We will, of course, as we did 8 years ago, respond to unfair tariffs.
Ford took that further, threatening to stop Ontario energy exports.
We will go to the full extent, depending how far this goes. We will go to the extent of cutting off their energy.
Premiers have also been key to the diplomatic push to convince Trump to change his mind, meeting with American governors and appearing on American TV, saying tariffs will be bad for both countries.
It's hurting the American people. It's hurting the Canadian people. Why the president is doing this is beyond me.
Quebec Premier François Legault met Trump last weekend in France. He's now calling for a costed border plan, tighter visa rules, and to negotiate a new free trade agreement now and without Mexico. How much this will cost for now is unclear. Sources have said Ottawa is prepared to spend up to $1 billion on border security, spending that could be approved before Donald Trump even takes office. Kate McKenna, CBC News, Ottawa.
Now, what I find interesting, and I'm going to play this right now, is that the Ontario Premier, he's saying that I don't know why, Trump is doing this. And he has this sense of just not understanding what's going on, because he actually feels like it's not his responsibility to secure his end of the border. And that is literally what he's going to say right now. As of right now, the security of the border on their end is temporary. It's temporary for the moment, because he does not believe that it is his responsibility to secure the Canadian border, which is completely ridiculous and insane. But let's get into this.
On the gear, they're going to enhance gear, get more border patrol, more sniffer dogs, if you want to call them that, patrol dogs. They're going to make sure they have more drones and more opportunities to cover the border. They have asked us, and I have agreed that we will support them, again, temporarily, as long as it takes to get through this. But again, we emphasize the border is not our responsibility. Well, I think he's being a little more aggressive than he was in the past. And I say this respectfully to the president. He's a different type of cat, to say the least. Maybe I'm a different type of cat, but you know, I've never seen you know, not so much aggression, but so matter of fact. He didn't come across this way last time, and it's not helpful for both sides of the border. And you know, at the end of the day, the consumer gets hurt. Canadians get hurt, but I can assure you one thing, the Americans are going to feel the pain as well. And isn't that unfortunate?
How is the border not your responsibility? That defies logic. You see, it's not your responsibility when you don't have drugs and illegal immigrants flowing into your side, right? So as long as they're not the ones breaking their neck to get into Canada, because nobody's breaking their neck to get into Canada for any reason at all whatsoever, well, then now the border isn't your problem. That's one of the most craziest. Not even the Mexican president said something that ridiculous, because even she knows and understand we share a border. And if these illegal immigrants are coming in from my side of the border, then it is indeed my responsibility to make sure that that's not happening. But once again, apparently the Ontario Premier doesn't feel that way. So once again, we'll see how long the border is secured on the Canadian side before maybe they withdraw their security, and then they're going to get slapped with tariffs. But I don't think that they're going to do that. I do think that once again, also, this is just, you know, him talking tough. And this is a lot of this is just him blowing smoke, because as you saw in the news clip, he's appearing on American television, essentially pleading his case and begging Trump to not impose a 25% tariff, because when you're dealing with Trump, you are dealing with somebody who isn't bluffing, right? He will do the same things that he says that he is going to do. And though he's talking about we'll cut off your lights in America, he doesn't really want to play that game. He doesn't really want to go down that road of having a tariff war with us, because ultimately they're going to lose that battle. They're going to lose that battle. And that's not something that they want to do. Now, in closing, what I want to do is take a moment just to play the rest of this clip in which he was asked about Justin Trudeau, essentially, you know, slapping American citizens in the face by calling us all sexist for not voting for Kamala Harris. And what you're going to hear here is that they actually had a conversation with Trudeau. They're not going to get into detail of what the conversation was about, but essentially they told him, look, man, shut up and don't say anything stupid like that ever again.
Did you talk to the Prime Minister about his comments about the Americans not electing Kamala Harris and how that was evidence of of women's rights being under attack? Do you think that those comments are helpful?
They aren't helpful at all, and yes, it was brought up in the, I'm not going to say who said what, but it was brought up a couple times in our meeting. It's not helpful at all. Donald Trump was elected democratically. If you like him or you don't like him, that's not our issue. We elect Canadians, and it was not helpful whatsoever. And I'm sure Prime Minister got the message loud and clear.
He said, and I'm sure the Prime Minister got the message loud and clear. As he stated, it came up a couple times. They had to put the Prime Minister in check. They said, listen, man, don't poke the bear. We don't really want those problems with America. Apparently, they're prepared for those problems. Whether or not they'll come out on top, I doubt it if they were to go down that road with us. But ultimately, they don't want to go down that road, right? They don't want to do that. Don't poke the bear. Don't start talking stupid about how Americans are sexist because we didn't vote for Kamala Harris, and instead we voted for Trump. So I'm glad, at least on that front, they got that straight, and we won't hear any more foolishness coming from Justin Trudeau's mouth. And with all that being said, that does it for today's news. So I want to thank you all for joining me today. Please hit the like button on your way out. Subscribe to the channel if you're new to the channel, and share this video out on your social media platforms. And also, once again, in closing, please follow me on Telegram and Rumble at TD Media Group. The link to my Telegram and Rumble is in the description box below and pinned in the comment section as well. Thank you all for your time, and until the next video, peace and have a great afternoon.